Okay, my apologies for the hour late start time. There's a reason for that. I had to work today, so it's why I had to start late. Sorry for the not giving an advance notice. Lots been going on lately, so I've been very busy. But now it's time to talk a little bit of everything because it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for one thing and one thing only. It means the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast. My name is Owen. Joining me as always is Ashley.
Indeed.
And for the next 2+ hours, most likely, we're going to be discussing anything and everything professional wrestling, everything going on from what's going on currently with the WWE product, everything including Mixed Match Challenge and NXT, 205 Live and Smackdown, to what's going on in the world of mixed martial arts and the UFC and Bellator and anything that's going on currently. And of course, another thing would be the fact that we're going to be talking New Japan Pro Wrestling, as well as Ring of Honor and Impact and everything else under the sun. All this tonight and more here on the Wednesday Wrestling Podcast. So, Ashley, what's going on SmackDown right now?
A ho-hum bloody show. That's what's going down. Really, just sort of... You can tell that we're 5 weeks from a pay-per-view because it was just like, this happened. Now, we got basically Shane and Daniel saying, he isn't happy that Sammy and Kevin getting another title shot. And, Daniel says, look, the referee made a mistake at the Rumble. I'm making a positive out of negative. Your least favorite people are going to battle each other. Hell, I was expecting a pay raise, and Shane's just like, I'd love to see them ripping their heads off, sure, but why do they keep getting opportunities? You changed the landscape forever with the Yes movement, and the Yep movement is just a cheap imitation of what you created. And then, of course, he brings up, I know more than anything in the world, you want to compete in this ring again. And Daniel was like, what are you doing? And Shane's just like, you're living vicariously through those two guys, aren't you? So AJ comes out and says, look, I've travelled the width and breadth of the country. I've defended the title to the best of my abilities. I can deal with the bumps and bruises, the cancelled flights, being away from family because I'm built for the grind. I can't deal with management obsessing over Kevin and Sammy. Not just Daniel, though. Shane as well. Every time a decision's made, it always affects him. He doesn't care who he faces. Just stay out of his way. I can handle my own destiny. I'll walk into Mania as champion. Charlotte Flair versus Liv Morgan is okay. It's nice and all. Charlotte wins with the figure 4 into the figure 8 bridge. Just after the referee sends Ruby and Sarah to the back because they were sort of trying to get involved and everything. Mainly trying to save Liv, actually. They weren't interfering by attacking Charlotte. They were basically pulling Liv out the ring, and that led to it. And then afterwards, Charlotte said 1 down, 2 to go. So I guess that's a thing. So then we're building to the Kevin Sammy stuff, and Kevin's asked, will this match have an effect on your friendship? And Kevin goes, it's a good question, but you shouldn't be asking me. Ask Sammy if he can handle losing. It's like, okay. So now it's the Bludgeon Brothers versus I don't know who and Matt Fitchett from AAW. Obviously, Bludgeon Brothers win with a T gimmick. So then the Usos show up. The Bludgeon Brothers go to the back, and of course the Usos go, we're here to let everybody know about day one-ish. We're talking about being locked down. I don't know whether the shit with the bars happened. It ain't about being booked, being told to assume the position, or being even in a chain gang. It's a state of mind. We run the prison. A lot of starving and looking real hungry. The hunger for success. And Jimmy goes like, you can't eat until we say you can eat. A lot of people are sleeping on us. It's not about bedtime stories. We went from Samoan drops to super kicks. We went from Uso crazy to day one-ish. It's not paranoia. It's the Us.
And they look like fucking cunts.
This was a terrible promo. Absolutely terrible. It was just like, oh my God. You'd have better writing in Rocky 4. That's saying a lot. But then, because apparently this is now going to be a thing to piss people off, the top 10 list. See if you notice a trend here, Owen.
It's so random.
Number 10, Ty Dillinger. Number 9, Randy Orton. Number 8, Becky Lynch. Number 7, The Usos. Number 6, The New Day. Number 5, Bobby Roode. Number 4, Naomi. Number 3, Nakamura. Number 2, Charlotte Flair. Number 1, AJ Styles. What's the trend there, Owen?
They're all fan favorites.
No. Well, no, because clearly not. Because there's no Rusev in there. There's no Kevin or Sammy.
Interesting.
What's the trend, Owen?
I'm not sure.
They're all faces.
Oh, yeah.
There are no heels. Because they're booking Rusev as a heel, even though he's getting ridiculously over. There's no Kevin or Sammy. There's no Corbin. Or Ziggler for that matter, but then, treat that with a pinch of salt. No Jinder, no Mojo. That's probably, because they might not be liked if that is a real list. Because that's the thing. How do we know this is a real list? We haven't seen the balloting.
Right.
It's brilliant. Corey's like, why is this there? And Byron, the face, says it's a popularity contest. So the face is ripping the shit out of this concept.
That's a problem.
I give it till the end of February, if that, before this disappears. And then Aiden English says there's a reason the ring is covered in canvas, because it's where art is made. Rusev is a different animal. And, yeah. The brilliant thing is, it's like Aiden English is singing about, other holidays and whatever. But all the other holidays are stupid, just like Kansas City, as if it's going to get heel heat. But no, they cheer because it's Rusev Day. They haven't fucking realized that this is over in a we don't give it. This is on Daniel Bryan terms. This is like we don't fucking care. We like this. You can try and make us heel heat you as much as you want. You heard the fact about the calendars, didn't you, Owen?
The Rusev Day calendars?
Yes.
They made way too few of them, and now
they made 2,500, which sold out. They're having to do another 5,000.
It's crazy.
And apparently this guy isn't over. and he's a heel.
Yeah, no.
He's a heel with one of the biggest merch deals at the minute as we stand.
It's true.
Solid match. Rude winning with the DDT. And then, of course, for some bizarre fucking reason, RKO on both men. Why is Orton in the US title picture?
Well, I'll give him credit. It's something new.
Sort of.
Well, I mean, he hasn't been in the U.S. title picture for years.
Yeah, but do we need it? Does he need it?
Got to do something with him if he's going to be on television.
So then it's time for Gable and Benjamin versus the Ascension. Gable and Benjamin win. Oh no. Then New Day are on again. They were asked earlier, you know, Xavier was crying and then Big E was like, number 6 is the percentage chance that Corey would have against us in a street fight, which is like, that's a bit random. I know it was obviously referencing to the fact that, New Day were ahead of the Usos. To be honest, considering the way it was fucking presented, at least on the show, the Usos are the worst thing on this bloody show. They were even worse than the jobbers that got squashed by bloody Bludgeon Brothers. In all honesty, they were terrible. And then Sammy's asked about the Kevin match, and Sammy's like, tonight's my opportunity to step out from Kevin's shadow. He's won all the titles, that's fine. We're best friends, we fought each other so many times, I know him. He'll stop at nothing, but neither will I. Then, of course, we get the big blockbuster announcement to make me not tune in next week. Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. Why should I fucking care?
You don't have a reason
guy
to.
The guy that you couldn't even be fucking bothered to have on the show this week versus a guy who's been missing off television for, what, 2 months nearly?
Yeah.
So why? So Sammy versus Owen. AJ's on commentary for this. They have a solid match. And then, of course, they sort of get in front of AJ. And, you know, they're mouthing off at each other. And they sort of... It's mainly Zayn, really, getting into it with AJ. Saying, you know, because AJ turns away and he's like, look at me when I'm talking to you. So Styles pushes Sammy into Kevin and punches both of them. Are we trying to make AJ Styles look like a dumb cunt? Surely if the best thing he wanted was to basically have... Because the aftermath of this is Daniel Bryan coming out and saying, considering how well Kevin and Sammy did and the fact that AJ basically caused a double DQ because it went to a no contest, we're having a triple threat match at Fastlane. And you see, I think I've now figured what the fuck is going on. By hook or by crook, AJ is winning. At Fastlane. So we are going to get AJ versus Nakamura. My fear is what's going to come out of this is Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. in a tag team match, which will then lead to Daniel turning heel. Or just in some weird sort of, well, where's the fucking sense in that? Shane turning heel. That's what I'm thinking is happening now. Otherwise, what do Kevin and Sammy do? Are they going to challenge the Usos for the tag titles at Mania? Because they shouldn't. Who knows what the shit's going on? Smackdown was a mess. Mitch Mack's challenge was average. So the most important thing is Lana and Rusev are in the chat room. I'm guessing Daniel Bryan was the guest referee for this one. So I'm guessing Kurt Angle wasn't even there. It's Mandy Rose and Goldust versus Naomi and Jimmy Uso. Uso and Naomi win with a frog splash. It was an okay match, but it's like you can tell that Mandy was a last-minute replacement. She wasn't bad, but she could have been better. Considering how quickly she got called up from NXT, you know. And then Jimmy as a singles competitor. It shows you how bloody restricted the Usos are that Jimmy is having to wrestle as a singles competitor or, you know, mixed tag. But realistically, it's singles because the women can't fight the men and vice versa. It works as a tag team. As a singles, it doesn't, unless one isn't actually there, like involved. But yeah, the Uso and Naomi win. Jimmy and Naomi win, I guess I should say. Afterwards, go ahead.
I have to mention this one, obviously, because of what we cover here, or what we did for an entire duration of like forever. Goldust using the Crossroads.
Oh yeah,
can't gloss
over actually that. Bloody when it happened, WWE's own Twitter account put him in it to the bloody Twitter mention. Right, okay. Are you desperate for the attention?
No.
Afterwards, out came Lana and Rusev. And Rusev just says, "You are not the best married couple around here. We are. We will not be hugging or singing songs unless it is Lana is the best. Lana number one." And then Lana says, "Next week we'll do one thing to Elias and Bailey, and that is crush. And we'll all celebrate everyone's favorite day, Ravishing Rusev Day." Yes! And then they have the bloody shitty backstage filmed on a phone promo with Elias strumming his guitar and Bailey trying to sing, sort of their promo at Rusev and Lana. And Elias just basically, because he's in his gimmick, leave me to the singing and the playing the guitar. You just do the wrestling. So again, a team that doesn't fit is having to be in a fucking match. Anybody notice the fucking problem here? They didn't think this through, did they?
Not really.
They really just put anybody they could fucking care about. So as it stands, we've got the Boss Club taking on Oscar in the first of the quarterfinals. Then we got Little Big, Broman and Bliss versus Uso Married, because, you know, that's a fucking name.
That sucks.
The final two, Elias and Bailey, don't have a name yet, but they're wrestling for Americas. They're taking on Lana and Rusev, representing Global and Citizen, by the team name of Rusev Date, apparently. Bit of a weird name, but whatever. And then Apollo Crews and Nia Jax in the final one. For Susan G. Komen, notice a thing here. Taking on Charlotte Flair and Bobby Roode for Girl Up. If Charlotte and Bobby don't win that, that's fucking embarrassing, especially considering it's Susan G. Komen. You'd have thought, well, that's obviously going to be the one that goes over. Then again, they fucked over Make-A-Wish. But it was going up against the Special Olympics. So realistically, Nia and Apollo is going to beat bloody Charlotte and Bobby.
I can't buy that.
This is fucking terrible. There is a second chance fan vote, though. But then again, and I'm guessing that could be Nakamura and Natalia, as it stands.
Unless
I don't think it'd be Biggie and Carmella. I don't think it'd be Sammy and Becky. It certainly won't be Goldust and Mandy.
I almost thought they would give it to Rusev and Lana, but they kept them in the tournament. Yeah, it almost has to be Nakamura and Natalia.
Ugh. And then we get to Triple H. Yay!
The Savior Show 5 Live.
We might as well fucking cover this now. Apparently, Triple H is now in charge of basically the backstage running of 205 Live now. Vince has given up on it. This started basically as of the Enzo shit. Probably because people are now starting to bring up the reports of, you do know there were sexual assault claims against Vince from a decade ago that got brushed away. So I think he's like, well, this is I'm just thinking about the Vince stuff, and it's really, I don't know. But either way, clearly this is the angle that they're doing in terms of Triple H is taking charge. And if we're going on last week, when it was wrestling heavy and not very much promo shit or anything, it's clearly happening again, because last night we had Kalisto and Dorado in a great match with Maverick watching sideways, of course, with the Selena Del Sol. they both raise each other's arms, say good effort and whatever. Then they have to tell us about Roderick Strong because, people that don't watch NXT will not have a clue who he is, even though they're on the networks. That's probably the only reason they watch. And then Cedric's backstage and says, I'm one match closer to Mania. No one will stand in my way. And Mustafa Ali shows up. And then Cedric says it's all about fun and games until somebody's lumbar gets checked. And then TJ's been reading social media comments about his match and says it sucks to devote 20 years of your life to reactions like this. I gave everything to win that Cruiserweight Classic, and I'm not doing it for the fans anymore. I'm doing it for me. And then Tozawa, they announced that Tozawa's facing Mandrews next week. Then they do a video package on Mark Andrews, and then Tozawa goes, I'm facing him. And, I'm a good talent, but Mark can't beat me. And then I'll win next week, and then just randomly to some bloke backstage. You're fired. Partly, I think he's doing this because Vince is no longer in charge of it.
Probably.
Brilliant. Then we got Nice and Gulak in Drake's office. Drake's actual only sighting of the show. Drake thanked Drew for the flowers, and Drake's just, what happened to you? You were the most rugged person on this show, and now you're doing PowerPoints. Now you're a goof. And Nice goes, you can talk. You're the same. It's like, okay, are we actually bringing up TNA indirectly?
I called him Rockstar Spud before.
All you do is count my abs. You're not a comedy act. That train's left the station. And
Nice wording.
Oh, I see. Because of
Yep.
Because of name redacted.
Exactly.
So next
That was
week,
done on purpose.
it's Gulak versus Nice. As in, who steps up to the plate? As in, the plate of a steam train. Oh! I mean, it's obviously supposed to be something to do with baseball, but fuck it, I'm going with the train thing. And Hideo goes, Roddy's one of the best cruiserweights there is, but this is my tournament. This is my home. Roddy doesn't belong here. I'm going to WrestleMania. Spoilers, he fucking loses in, holy shit, a great match that was really beautiful, except for the fucking crowd just wanted to put their heads up their own asses and not watch this shit. Which, fucking hurt it. It was a really good match, but the fact that the crowd didn't give a shit, I thought Kansas City liked wrestling.
Yeah.
Apparently not. Anyway, that's the E stuff. I need to quickly grab my dinner because we've been caught off guard with all these changing over time. So if there's any comments or whatever, bring them up. If there isn't, I don't know. Phil, just for a couple of minutes. I'll be back.
So this is the time in the night where it becomes extremely awkward because due to my work schedule and my running schedule, yeah, I know it still feels weird saying that. I have yet to really watch anything. I officially, as of this moment, as of I think it was yesterday, I've canceled the WWE Network. I have another way to watch stuff, so I'm not going to worry about it. I will state that I'm hoping to be able to see some more live wrestling in 2018. It's only February, so I have plenty of time. I'm not looking that I'm going to be getting into NXT at Full Sail next month. But I still think it's possible to be able to see some things. So, be a little awkward situation when Ashley gets his dinner because I just had mine. So, yeah, it's been an interesting time lately. A lot of cool things going on in the network. I get this email the other day saying it's like, "Hey, congratulations, you've had 1,000 subscribers." And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, I've already had 1,000 subscribers before. But regardless, I want to say thank you to everyone who has watched a minute of the shows, watched any videos, because you helped us get to where we are. Regardless where we actually are right now, we really appreciate your patronage every single week. And hopefully next week, unless there's any changes, we should be back to normal time.
What are we saying about normal?
And now Ashley's back, so I don't have to fill anymore.
Yeah. Well, we're back to normal. As much as normal can be.
Depends on how you look at it.
So I'm trying to remember. Blankety blank. Is it MMA already?
It's MMA.
Yeah, this is one that I feel very passionate about. I got very emotional about something last Thursday. In retrospect, I probably shouldn't have been. There's some bits that I'm still angry at, but there's some bits that I'm less angry at after having fully watched it. But the thing that I'm more angry at, that everybody's angry at, is what went down on UFC. I'll run through the main card bit. Well, I guess the first thing to mention, one of the matches between John Dodson and Pedro Munhoz never happened. Munhoz missed weight. He was 4 pounds over the weight. And Dodson declined to take the fight at catchweight, which, of course, he's got every right to do. So Dodson will still get paid his fight packet, his money. I don't know whether Munhoz will, or whether it'll be sort of reduced because of missing the weight and obviously causing the match to not happen. The other interesting one in terms of the weight stuff was Michel Prazeres versus Desmond Green. So he weighed in at 161, which was 5 pounds over the lightweight non-title fight upper limit of 156. So 20% of the purse would be forfeited, and 20% of the win bonus would be forfeited. The really interesting thing is, when it came to the actual day of the fight, Michel was supposed to weigh in at a maximum of 173, but the fight to proceed is scheduled. No official word is out, but according to Desmond Green's camp, who obviously had to be there to weigh him to assess it, he came in at 180. So he put on 19 pounds. Amazingly, Green still took the fight, which then, because of that, meant that Michel has to give 40% of his win bonus if he wins, and his actual pay to Green in return, which I'm guessing is the reason why Desmond lost 30-27, 30-27, 29-28. Okay, one of the judges saw that Desmond won a round, but the other two didn't. But then Desmond Green got a shit ton of money anyway, because the other guy decided to give it up because it was supposed to be at a catch weight of 161. And it ended up, that far over. this weigh-in system is making a mockery of the shit. So that's the two sort of big cock-ups there. The other one, the women's flyweight match. Valentina Shevchenko taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. How many punches do you think Shevchenko landed, Owen? Give in mind that this only went to the set, basically to the end of the second out of 3 rounds. How many punches do you think Shevchenko landed?
20.
247.
Wow, I don't know anything.
You know how many Priscilla landed?
No.
3. This fight, Mario Yamuchi, I don't know whether he's ever going to officiate a fight ever fucking again. Because this was like Shevchenko rightfully got $50,000 for performance of the night because it was impressive. But it should, she would have got it had it been a first round knockout or whatever, or first round submission. Priscilla, at least by midway through the first, towards the end of the first, was in no condition to fight. And Mario let it go on for another, let's say 6-7 minutes if you include the rest of the first round and the 4:25 of the second round before we actually got to the rear naked choke submission. Apparently, it was also being hamstrung by the Brazilian Commission because they were sort of wanting the fight to continue. As if, like, after such a beating, the Brazilian was somehow going to turn it around. Not everybody is Anderson Silva when it's like, upset win sort of thing. That ain't going to happen, especially with somebody like Shevchenko, who, okay, this is her first fight in the flyweight division, but, she's been a contender in, I think it's the bantamweight one, where Joanna Jędrzejczyk was, or whether it was the bantamweights, or the strawweights is Joanna and Fagrode, because that's how you have to always say that. The bantamweights is where Rousey and sort of Cyborg and Holly Holm were. I think that's where Shevchenko's come from. So it's another case of somebody moving into another division to try and make it their own sort of thing. Shevchenko clearly proved that she needs to be on the map and be in chance of being in contention of a title run. But the ref, like, dear fucking God, never let him officiate a match ever again. He was terrible. It's a shame that Big John has gone to bloody Bellator to do stuff, because it's like, wow, you'd want to use him now desperately. Thiago Santos and Anthony Smith's fight on the first match of the main card, with Santos winning via TKO early on in the second round. That got fight of the night, so both Santos and Smith got $50,000. Along with Shevchenko's $50,000 bonus for performance of the night, also went to Yuri Alcantara, who was on Fox Sports 2 for the early prelims. His win over Joe Soto with a 66-second knockout also got a $50,000 bonus. We'll get to this weekend first before we get to next weekend, because that's got interesting over the last week or so. Well, actually, no, it's not even next weekend. It's next month. But we've got UFC 221. We've actually got a pay-per-view this coming Saturday/Sunday, depending where you are. And I don't mean as in, well, it's clearly Sunday morning for people in the UK or whatever. I mean, this show's in Perth, Western Australia. So just like the one where Ronda Rousey lost back, I think it was last February, with the rematch with Holly Holm or whatever. They're going to be airing it live on pay-per-view in America, which means that if you take into account the prelims on Fight Pass, they're starting at 7 a.m. local time. So it fits for US television and US pay-per-view. With the actual pay-per-view itself being at 11 a.m. and basically finishing by about 2 p.m. Pretty ridiculous schedule, in all honesty. The interesting thing about this was supposed to be the GSP versus Robert Whittaker match, which obviously GSP dropped out because of not knowing what to do and being out with colitis and whatever. And then Whittaker became the champion. And then Whittaker got pulled out with whatever medical issues that he's got. And, as we said before, hope that he does well. So then it became Yoel Romero taking on Luke Rockhold, which is now for the interim UFC middleweight title. As if that could get any more confusing. So, for the Fight Pass prelims, we've got Ross Pearson versus Mizuto Hirota, Teruto Ishihara taking on Jose Alberto Quinones, and Luke Jimo versus Daichi Abe. That's a lightweight, bantamweight, and welterweight division bout, respectively. I did that in the reverse order as well. The Luke versus Daichi matches first. I should probably do that in the right order. So for Fox Sports 1 prelims, in the flyweights, we've got Justicia Maiga versus Ben Nguyen. Jeremy Kennedy taking on Alexander Volkanovski in the featherweights. Middleweight contest with Rob Wilkinson facing Israel Adesanya, and Damian Brown versus Dong Hyun Kim. I don't know whether that's the Korean Zombie or whether it's the fake Korean Zombie. Double check. Is it the actual Zombie? It might be. Is it? No, it's a different. It's the other Korean Zombie. I think. In which case, he hasn't fought since June. But I don't know whether it is because it's not listed. This is really good. It doesn't help that there's obviously two of them. You got the one born in 1988. Is that him? Possibly. Yeah. It's the Maestro, apparently. So it's not. That's really annoying that they're both fighting in UFC and they have the same name. It's like, well, that isn't confusing at all, is it? So yeah, it's the younger man. That's the Maestro, as they call it, that's in action for that one. Then for the main card, starting off with the light heavyweights, Tyson Pedro versus Saparbek Safarov. Then a welterweight bout with Jake Matthews taking on Li Jingliang. Then two heavyweight contests, Tai Tuivasa taking on Cyril Asker, and Mark Hunt versus Curtis Blades. And then, as previously mentioned, the interim UFC middleweight title on the line with Yoel Romero taking on Luke Rockhold as to who gets the interim belt. The interesting situation now developed in terms of last week or the next pay-per-view. So it came out Saturday that Max Holloway was injured. So he couldn't face Frankie Edgar at UFC 222 in Vegas. The interesting thing is, They were supposed to fight in December, and Frankie Edgar got hurt. So they were looking for headliners like Arlovsky versus Stefan Struve. Which obviously isn't a main event pay-per-view sort of caliber match, because they obviously like to do title matches. They were considering demoting the show to just make it a Fox Sports 1 show instead of a pay-per-view, which is obviously awkward. However, today there is a savior, and you know, it isn't the name that you'd think originally. If you think back to the old era of like somebody coming in at last minute, like Cowboy Cerrone, I think, and Bisping, it's Cyborg. Because obviously she won her last bout relatively convincingly. She's going to defend her title against UFC newcomer and former Invicta bantamweight champion Yana Kunitskaya in the main event of the pay-per-view. And Frankie Edgar will stay on the show. He'll be taking on Brian Ortega in the co-main. That will unofficially basically mean whoever wins will probably challenge Max Holloway next when he's fit. Cyborg was obviously fought on the December show against Holly Holm. So it will just about be 2 months and a week, give or take, notice. Or I guess a month's notice from when it was announced today to when the show's happening on March 3rd. Basically 4 weeks, give or take. Struve versus Arlovsky still on the card, along with Kat Zingano, Ketlin Vieira, CB Dollaway versus Hector Lombard, John Dodson versus Pedro Munoz. They've moved it to there now. So yeah, Cyborg saves the day. Because she did say she wanted to main event pay-per-views. I think she's realized that she can take advantage of other people being injured all the bloody time. That still means, because it's March, she could defend the title against Andrade. Amanda Nunes. Like they've been billing and sort of like getting the super fight going. Again. But as I say, we'll have to see how that develops as we get closer to the time. The big thing, though, it's not officially confirmed, but, you know, Owen's sort of feelings last week were sort of correct in that, yes, they do want CM Punk to fight in Chicago on the pay-per-view card on June 9th for 225. However, we now know that Helwani is reporting that they're discussing CM Punk versus Mike Johnson, apparently. Oh, sorry, Mike Jackson, not Mike Johnson.
P. Windsor?
Yes, but you know what the interesting thing is? Mike Jackson has only had one professional fight, and that was against Mickey Gall. And if you remember, he was labeled as Michael Jackson at the time, rather than Mike Jackson. I guess they've made it Mike to make it sort of less like, you know, Michael Jackson's fighting. What? So yeah. The weird thing is, if Punk, because Gall beat Jackson in 45 seconds, and that's how Gall got the CM Punk fight. So now we get to the complication of, well, what if Jackson beats CM Punk? Does that mean the UFC thing's over? We'll see. The big thing with that, they're obviously going to push a hell of a lot, but keep in mind that's also Chicago's first UFC pay-per-view. They've had like fight nights and whatever. They've never had pay-per-view. So obviously they're going to want some sort of big match on that as well. But the problem is the next month you've got the fight night, you know, and the fight week, as they call it, when it goes crazy. So we'll see. And I should just double check in case there's anything into today's news that I haven't looked at yet in terms of UFC stuff. Nate Diaz apparently wants Tyrone Woodley for his return fight, which Dana replied with, nope, he wants Tyrone Woodley versus Rafael Dos Anjos. And Dos Anjos sort of retorting back saying, well, obviously Tyrone wants Diaz because he wants an easy opponent. So we're building shit there. Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington is being considered somewhere down the line, with them sort of lining it up for 224 because that's going to be the Brazil pay-per-view in, I think, Rio in a couple of months. And Rampage Jackson wants Wanderlei Silva for his next fight. I don't know why, but, you know, that happened, I guess. So, yeah, I think that's the major MMA stuff. Couvard.
You want to go into NXT really quick?
Ooh, NXT. This is obviously the first stuff from Center Stage post the Rumble. So, and because we immediately start off with it, Undisputed Era versus Sanity for the tag titles, except Sanity just beat the shit out of all of the Undisputed Era. And Regal goes, enough is enough. Where main event will be a 6-man tornado tag match. Not for the titles, of course, because, you know, that would make sense. Da-da-da. So the actual opening match is Heavy Machinery versus Sabatelli and Moss. Decent match. Heavy Machinery getting the win with the compactor, I think as it's called, from Tucker. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The finish it he does. Solid match. But the interesting shit already is Moss walks over to Tino and Tino offers his hand to sort of help him up. And Moss just walks away. So we're already splitting that group up. Brilliant. Longevity there, guys. Fucking terrible. So here comes Gargano and says, man, it's been a hell of a month. I was the most confident I've ever been going into Philly. My family, brought my family. I saw myself standing in the ring as champ. But, you know, that didn't happen. But the reaction from the fans make it obvious that what I earned was everyone's respect. I had the match of a lifetime. At the lowest of my lows, I found out that, title or no title, I'm Johnny freaking Wrestling, son. I'll never forget Philly. Also, I'll never forget that crutch shot to the back. And basically, he's coming for Ciampa. Except here comes Almas and Vega. And Zelina says, you earned our respect. But you didn't earn anything. You shouldn't be out here. I guess it earned the fans' respect. Andrade should be having a parade and confetti. All you prove that you're a loser. Ciampa had nothing to do with you losing. Because he's beaten you again and again and again. You aren't Johnny Wrestling. You're Johnny Loser. And Johnny goes, my favorite part of the show was the fans earning the respect of the fans. Second favorite part was my wife beating the shit out of you. And Zelina slaps Johnny. Here comes Candice. Get into the fight. And he's like, I'm sick of the two of you. What will it take to get rid of you? Andrade's already beaten you 3 times. And Johnny goes, look, if you want me gone, give me another shot at the title. And Vega's like, if we give you another shot and you lose, you're leaving for good, right? And he says, if I can't win, I might as well leave NXT. And I'm thinking, he's fucking going to the Cruiserweight division, everybody. He's Triple H's man in the Cruiserweight division. Cedric's going to lose. Johnny Wrestling's going to WrestleMania, even if it is on the pre-show. Fuck NXT. Then Shayna's interviewed backstage and says, look, it took me a month to become the most dangerous person here. Get in the ring with me, 3 choices. Tap, nap, snap. Shayna's asked, so what's next for you? It's like, Ember's afraid of me. I'll take her title. She got off lucky the last time. Next week, Roderick Strong versus Pete Dunne. And Tyler Bates asked about losing to Roddy and says, look, it's difficult to get upset because credit's where credit's due. I'll be watching that match closely, though. And Tyler's brought up about, having a match of the year and said it's an amazing honor, and I look forward to having more matches of the year against NXT's best. I partly think the heat on him for not deciding to actually sort of do shows for them makes sense. Because, he's only fucking 20 or 21? And I guess he feels like he needs more experience. Whereas I think the attitude of Dunn, who admittedly is only himself like 22 or 23, I think he feels like he is ready. Because he certainly conveys himself as a much more confident man. So I honestly, I just think it's that. Somewhere down the line, Tyler will, I think, get in the good, because I think WWE doesn't like him. I think Triple H actually sort of, I guess, begrudgingly accepts it, because I think he understands the sort of situation that he is. I think he wants to make sure that he's an established name in the UK before he sort of takes the jump, whereas Pete's just like wanting to get there as quick as possible, while obviously still doing indie shows where he isn't, committed to do stuff. I mean, he missed, even Tyler, though, missed some of the shows that he could have been on because of the Rumble week and NXT and everything. So, so be it. So now it's time for Jessie Till versus Bianca Belair. Can't remember who Jessie Till is. All I know is Bianca at Belair won, sort of in no time, and it was like, oh, well, back to Bianca Belair matches I don't give a shit about. Kyrie saying video package, then Aleister Black's coming back next week. And then we get a tweet from Ember challenging Shayna for the title next week. Right. Okay. And then the main event, the Tornado Tag match. Undisputed Era versus Sanity. Which I think went through at least 2 commercials. They gave it quite a bit of time. And then, really impressively, it was Killian Dane getting the win, with Kyle getting a running crossbody and the Ulster Plantation. So the push is on Dane, clearly, as being the dominant guy. That's why they didn't use him on the other shit, because Damo is king. Damo. Solid show. And then, I guess we need to bring up the taping spoilers. Methinks. The great thing is, apparently, there was a dark match with Street Profits beating Fabian Eichner and Raul Mendoza. So, yeah, Street Profits dark match. Logic. Brr. So we're getting TM61 versus Jobbers. You can guess what happens there, Owen.
Yeah.
Dunn beats Strong to retain. Okay, that's spoilers for next week, but I'm willing to see what it was. But the crowd gave both men a standing ovation. That's what we got from the reports anyway. So, you know, it's solid. Black doing a promo to challenge for the NXT title, with Dane getting involved, sort of, I guess, because that's the #1 contender stuff. The women's match is going to go to a DQ. Velveteen Dream versus No Way Jose. Obviously, you know who's winning there.
Yeah.
Which apparently they're now officially calling the Purple Rainmaker. I love it.
That's what we've been calling it for weeks.
Now, that might actually be the official name, though. They're stealing our shit again.
Yeah, it has been. Well, yeah, well.
Nikki Cross over Vanessa Bourne. Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake beating Jobbers that are now being called the Forgotten Sons.
Yep.
Isn't Murphy the Forgotten Son? Let's be honest.
I think he's fine. He might end up going to. There's a lot of people thinking he might end up going to 205.
It says, well, we're entering the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and the crowd's going, we're doing that shit again this year? That's the first that they'd heard of it. It was like, good notice. And then Almas beats Gargano. Gargano's leaving. The great thing is, bloody Drake was refereeing this, and he apparently he hesitated in his count because even he didn't want Gargano to leave. So he was like 1, 2, 3, like brilliant. The great thing is, Gargano gets sort of the whole, and Candice and whatever get all the sort of nice celebration, you know, Gargano's leaving sort of thing. And then brilliantly, from the crowd, out pops Ciampa. And he's just smiling and doing the whole sort of like tipping of the hands to go, bye, see ya. See, unlike the last time, Ciampa did interfere and actually cost the match. Because he came in with the crutch again while the ref was down. So yeah, good logic there and everything. And we then transition to the following day. John Skyler losing to Cassius Ono. So Ono's on dark match duty, everybody. Nikki Cross beat Vanessa Bourne. So I'm guessing the first one was so shit, they did it again. So that's promising, isn't it? Because apparently Vanessa on the first tapings came out with a whip and licked Nikki's ear during the first match. So I guess they realized
That's fucked up.
Adam Cole beat Cesar Bononi. Velveteen Dream beat Tyler Bate. Shayna beat Kairi Sane. Because I think after the DQ that Kairi sort of comes out and interferes and whatever. And then basically, you know, Shayna said the next time we face each other, either I'm leaving with Ember's title or a limb. And then Almas and Vega sort of insulted Gargano and Candice, but were interrupted by Black and Dane. And then Dane laid out Black to end the segment. Ricochet beat Fabian Eichner. So, yeah. He was in as Ricochet as well, I believe, wasn't he? I think that's what the graphics said.
Yeah.
The great thing is he got the loudest pop of the entire show. Even louder than Johnny and whatever. Then we had the example of, wow, we're really fucking burying teams. Authors of Pain beat TM61 in the first round Dusty Classic match. So you build them up, and then you make them fucking job to a team that shouldn't even be in NXT anymore. Apparently Bianca Belair beat another jobber or something. Interestingly, I don't know whether this will air, Ciampa shows up in the crowd. Didn't say anything because he was just getting booed completely for what happened. Grabbed a Gargano sign, destroyed it with his crutch. And they did him the Roman stuff. Every time he was going to speak, they just booed. So they worked with that beautifully. Aleister Black beat Killian Dane to become #1 contender to Almas. The great thing is, because Aleister Black has lost his undefeated streak, that means he's winning at WrestleMania, surely. Because that isn't the factor anymore. Then, in another, why are we burying these fuckers? Street Profits beat Heavy Machinery. Again, doesn't make sense.
No.
More Ciampa coming out and sort of not being able to speak. So Dakota Kai came back, taking and beating Lacey Evans. Thank fucking God. And then Baszler came out to attack Dakota again, but Ember made the save and hit Shayna with the Eclipse. And we're getting the rematch from the Rumble between Ember and Shayna. I don't know why. Surely there's better but fucking people that have been there for longer than trying to pop a rating because you've got a UFC person in there. Let's be honest. Then Sanity beat Tino Sabatelli and Riddick Moss. The only one that made sense of the three, in all honesty. Then Pete Dunne beat Adam Cole by DQ. So there was no sort of Pete Dunne getting out of Adam Cole this time, you know, like the last time. The great thing is, Pete Dunne got saved by Roderick Strong. Strong offered the handshake, and Dunne was like, whatever. So there's something happening there of interest. And then they basically went, Alistair and Alistair and Almas did their stuff. Vega said, Zelina came out on her own, and Black said, "Really? You're saying he isn't here?" And she slapped him, and he signed the contract, and he was like, "I'm glad you came alone, because I didn't." And then here comes Candice. So the Evolve connection happens. And Candice beats the shit out of Vega. So I don't know whether. So that's weird. I mean, we've still got the next tapings, obviously, to run up to Mania, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think. Because this, then again, from what they taped, I guess it would be about 3 or 4 weeks ish, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Give or take. So I guess it's possible that they'll be recording at least 3 weeks or so, if that, for the next tapings in March. We'll see. Yeah. Interesting plans. That's all I'll say. As to what may or may not go down. Dun, 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 dun.
All right.
So, trying to remember. Is it Impact? Is it Ring of Honor? Is it neither? Is it New Japan?
It should be New Japan, New Japan, Ring of Honor, and Impact, and that would be leading us to everything else.
Oh, don't forget Defiant as well, because amazingly they still think that their shit's important. So the double bill of Korakuen Hall shows. I guess some interesting stuff came from the first night. Makabe beat Kanemaru in their 6-man tag with Makabe Elgin and Kushida beating Suzuki, Iizuka, and Kanemaru. Afterwards, Makabe told Suzuki to put the Intercontinental title on the line against him. And Suzuki rushed towards the ring with a chair. The Young Lion stopped him. So he fucking laid out the Young Lions with the chair. And then left. So it's like, bad move, kids. Bad move. Jay White beat Dave Finlay, and then beat the shit out of him afterwards. And then came the 5-on-5 the 10-man elimination tag. So Hiromu and Ospreay went out first. Then Yoshihashi managed to take out Naito and Bushi. Then Sanada, those were both over the top rope. Basically, every elimination was over the top rope, even though it could have been submission or pinfall as well. All of these are over the top rope for bizarre reasons. The Roman and Ospreay went together because, peas in a pod by the looks of it. Then it was Naito and Bushi by Yoshihashi. Then Sanada got eliminated by Okada. So if you look at that, that means it's 4-on-1. Evil eliminated Okada, Evil eliminated Goto, and then hit the Evil on Yoshihashi to win it. So Evil was the sole survivor. as it turned out. This fed into the following night. So Rocky Romero and Roppongi 3K took on Kanemaru, El Desperado, and Taka, which Romero got the win for his team. But then Suzuki-gun attacked Roppongi 3K afterwards, with Desperado and Kanemaru indicating that they want to go after the tag titles. Which makes sense. Both are good guys. So then Jay White, Tim Ishii, and Yano beat Robinson, Finlay, and Hanare. It was a referee stoppage on Hanare. He hit him with a Blade Runner and kept assaulting him with elbow strikes even after he was knocked out, which led to the stop. And Finlay, interestingly, wanted to keep fighting Jay White afterwards, but White just went, nah, and left. So, interesting stuff there. Then Suzuki, Iizuka, and Taichi beat Makabe, Elgin, and Taguchi. Suzuki putting the heel hold on Taguchi. He kept it on the hold for quite a bit after the bell had rang and everything and the submission happened. Elgin tried to break it up, but got hit with bloody Iizuka's iron fingers, because fucking course. Makabe tried to stop Suzuki as well. Only he got hit with a pole driver. And then apparently after both had left, they were brawling it backstage. So that's a good job. Yoshihashi, Ospreay, and Gedo beat Naito, Takahashi, and Bushi, with Yoshihashi hitting the karma on Bushi. Interestingly, Gedo stole Bushi's mask and also the extra mask that he wore during his entrance afterwards as well. So, yeah, I guess Bushi doesn't want Bushi having a mask anymore, considering, he's the booker. And then also, interestingly, Naito and Yoshihashi brawled away until the Young Lions had to break them up. And then, thankfully, in the main event, Sanada and Evil retained over Okada and Goto, with Evil hitting the Magic Killer as well as the Evil on Goto. Wonder where we got that from. And Sanada said he will defeat Okada again and take his title. And Evil said he's stronger than Goto and vowed to win his title match in Osaka as well. This is interesting, because if you look at Sanada and Okada, the only stuff that they've had outside of that meeting that they had when he beat him at the G1, Okada threw him over the top rope and eliminated him from that Elimination Chamber match the day before. So on that logic, Okada wins low, even though he shouldn't. With Evil and Goto, I don't think they'd want to have somebody with two titles at the same time, but you never know. Especially because of the number of shows that they're doing, you could do it. We'll see. They have got they have got one house show in New Sumpia Togichi in a few hours, but that's a house show and it's not being broadcast or anything. But this Saturday does see a show, New Beginning in Osaka. We're going to have Yuji Nagata versus Katsuya Kitamura in the trial series. Oh, by the way, Kitamura's 2 trials, he lost both of them. It was as I fought to Kojima Tenzan, and replacing the injured Kojima was Nakanishi, so it stayed like that. So Nagata's facing Kitamura on Saturday in, I think, the 6th match of his trial, from what I remember. Sho and Yo take on Kanemaru and El Desperado. I believe it's non-title.
Makes sense.
But considering that they were challenging for the titles, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because they've already defended them, but, if they were sort of just gesturing that they wanted to be champions, I'd have thought they'd have done it anyway, so be it. Elgin, Juice Robinson, and Dave Finlay versus Jay White, Ishii, and Yano. So I'm guessing that means Jay White and Dave Finlay are possibly going to be in the feud. It could be Juice. Makes sense to be Juice. Because I'm guessing this is angling... Well, I guess it might be angling more towards New Japan Cup than Strong Style Evolved. Then we got the 4-on-4 with Tanahashi, who I guess isn't competing, so I guess Nakanishi. Maybe. I don't think he's on the rest of the card. No. I don't think Tanahashi's... I don't know whether they've replaced that. I should probably know. It's going to be Makabe, Kushida, and Taguchi anyway, with somebody versus Suzuki, Iizuka, Taichi, and Taka. And then the Pentuple main event, I guess, in the Chaos versus LIJ collision. It's Gedo versus Bushi and Yoshihashi versus Naito. That second one looking very intriguing. And then the 3 title matches for the junior heavyweights, it'll be Ospreay versus Takahashi. If you've seen social media, you've seen they have shared chicken of the Southern Fried variety to celebrate their friendship in inverted commas. Which in realistic terms, they must be actually pretty good friends because, you know, putting the shit on that they do. Goto versus Evil for the Never Openweight title, and then Okada versus Sonada for the main belt, if you will, and stuff. And I guess the only other stuff to mention in terms of New Japan, Access TV have announced Strong Style Evolve will be airing live at 8 Eastern, 5 local. Which, let me double check, is a Sunday. I'm guessing on this logic, Owen, Popcast if it's possible.
It's going to be tough, but I'll see what I can do.
Or even if it isn't a live Popcast, it will still be a live Popcast because obviously we wanted to do as much of New Japan stuff as we could. And
right.
Realistically, this is the only one that dramatically fits because, you know, the other ones are going to be at 6 a.m. Whereas this one is at least sort of 8 p.m. Eastern, so it'll be finished at like 11-ish, give or take. So they will be replaying Okada versus Naito from Wrestle Kingdom this Friday as well. I guess to build up to it and whatever. I guess depending how well it does, it might depend whether there will be a second US show coming. We'll see. The big note, though, as well, more recent or more relevant, New Japan Kingdom's Tour of Australia, as it stands, is going to be, or at least the Adelaide show is being main evented by Okada and Ishii versus the Young Bucks. So yeah, they're on the level, everybody. I think the other one is Elite versus Chaos, I think, from what I remember. I don't know whether it's Jay White. I should probably have fucking checked that. Let me get the right tab up. I think they announced it today, didn't they? There we go. The Melbourne show is going to be okay. So it's going to be Kenny Omega with the Gorillas of Fuck versus Okada, Ishii, and Rocky Romero. So is Omega still part of the Bullet Club then? Because of the Gorillas? Like, huh?
I don't know what's going on.
Oh shit! The most important thing is actually happening Korakuen Hall on February 18th. Stardom announced Maiko Satomura versus Tony Storm. I approve. I approve of this happening. Very much so. Special dream match. That's what it is. Special dream. Also, apparently, at the last Stardom press conference, the tag team champs Odio Tai showed up drunk. I just brilliant. So yeah, I mean there is other Japan stuff, but we'll get to that in the results. But yeah, that's New Japan. Moving to the Honor of the Rings. I guess the first thing we should bring up, because okay, we did obliquely reference it on I don't know if we referenced it last week or whether it was on Monday. So I don't think I said anything. I can't remember what the schedule we did with like stuff. But I guess channeling a little Matt Hardy, Nick had a premonition. And it says a lot that the way they officially announced this was via a YouTube series rather than any statement from Ring of Honor or anything. Supercard of Honor 12 may or may not be headlining or be headlined by, Cody versus Kenny Omega in the Bullet Club Civil War, as they sort of called it on that. Because I guess because obviously when they recorded it, they didn't know what the ramifications were going to be in terms of the actual who's aligning with who. And additionally, with why the Bucks met up with Omega and Ibushi, which is still yet to be disclosed. And the thing is as well, I've looked into it. Supercard of Honor is going to be starting at 7:30 Central Time. NXT is going to be starting at 7. I'm guessing Takeover is going to be about 2.5 hours. Could be 3, could be 2.5. Either way, that still leaves enough time for people then to be able to tune out of the network and then tune into Ring of Honor to see Cody versus... That might be logically why they're actually going head-to-head rather than going beforehand. Because then it plays into the fact of that means Cody and Kenny will actually get their chance to shine without any interruptions. Whereas the rest of the card, which will probably be solid from Ring of Honor, will probably get enveloped by NXT and whatever. But yeah, I am thinking when we do go live for WrestleMania Saturday or NXT TakeOver Saturday, whatever you want to call it, we're probably delaying it until the Ring of Honor show cuts off. And we'll talk about both somehow. The other thing to mention before we get to the TV stuff, Ring of Honor have now announced some of the details regarding the Honor Club subscription service that they're going to be introducing. There's going to be a $10 a month subscription or $100 a year. So they're giving you 2 months free. And then a VIP subscription that is additional $20 a year. So it's $120. But the interesting thing with that is that gives you all Ring of Honor pay-per-views throughout the entire year for that $20. So that's the anniversary show, that's Supercard of Honor, that's Best in the World, That's Global Wars if they have any on pay-per-view. That's Final Battle. I think Death Before Dishonor. So like 5 or 6 sort of regular shows. Whereas the standard $100 subscription for a year, or even the $9.99 a month, also gives you a 50% discount for pay-per-view purchases digitally. Both subscription options will also be featuring live streaming of on-tour events. So if they can do a live broadcast, like they did with the trial for the Global War stuff, they'll be doing that. And of course, access to the Ring of Honor library and everything. Also, there'll be early access to pre-sales and 15% off the Ring of Honor shop stuff. The debut is imminent, and people that are Ringside members will have their subscriptions automatically converted into Honor Club ones when the membership expires. Considering that Ring of Honor put up a notice this week saying the video content on this website will soon disappear because we're reverting to a new website, I think indicates probably that they're going to debut this in time for March, for the anniversary show, to then tie into WrestleMania weekend and build on it from there. No word on whether that means All In is going to be on Ring of Honor's service, or whether All In is going to be streamed at all. Considering it's the Bucks and, Cody and Omega that are behind it, logically I'd say it would be. I don't think they dare give it away for free. They could be that ballsy and go, yeah, free stream on Twitch or something, which would be a bit of a coup for Twitch, but actually getting good wrestling for a change. Apart from, AAA shows, which are shit, and Impact content, which is ranging from pretty good old stuff to average old stuff to current stuff. Either way, Ring of Honor's TV, sort of following on the trend of most of the TV this week, a bit average. So we had the Best Friends versus the Motor City Machine Guns, which became a no contest because the Briscoes came out and got involved. In fact, the match didn't happen because, the Best Friends were going to a win, but the hug at the entrance ramp was cut short by the Briscoes. They then zip-tied Shelley to the ropes as Sabin got Jade drilled on a chair in the ring. So, yeah. Makes sense why they did it. And why the Briscoes are running ragged, because they're trying to, say this is our division. That, as a whole, is good. You'll get to see what the issue here is with the show. So then we have Riccaboni bringing us an interview with Beer City Bruiser, Brian Malonis, and Silas Young, saying Ring of Honor better have the 2 tallest drinks in the tag division run roughshod over the competition. And it's like, well, considering what happened with the Briscoes, that's not going to happen. Then Punishment with Martinez video package happens, and apparently he earned the name Punishment on the streets because he fiddled with skulls and other occult objects before making it clear that he's going to take Castle's title next week. Yeah, so apparently he's called Punishment because of paranormal shit. Does that make any sense? Why didn't they just say he read Fedor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment? I can't even say his fucking name. That makes more sense. So Shane Taylor versus Marty Scurll. Apparently SoCal Uncensored paid off Shane Taylor to take Scurll out before the Bullet Club match. So that's why Marty wants revenge. What happened here? basically the referee grabbed he went for the umbrella, but Taylor stopped it. But then the referee tried to pull it away from Taylor. Squirrel grabbed a handful of powder and blinded him and rolled him up for the win. And then afterwards called out Punishment Martinez and, asked him for a shot if he was going to win the title next week. And Martinez nodded and then gave him a South of Heaven chokeslam. So keep in mind, Skull wins via shenanigans. Overall, spot makes sense. Then we get to Matt Taven versus Cody. Because Vinny Marseglia and TK O'Ryan kept interfering, Todd Sinclair ejected them. Taven used this opportunity to basically lifted Taven up like 15, or he lifted Cody up like 15, I think, miles into the air, and then just sort of like tiger uppercutted his balls and whatever. So like some sort of super low blow deal. This is after sort of Cody got the win with a low blow of his own. Either way. And then afterwards, he took Cody's ring and made Cody kiss the ring. So again, in its context of its match, makes sense. But that means this entire show was no contest due to interference. Shenanigans and powder and everything leading to a finish, and low blows leading to a finish, followed by other low blows. As in, there wasn't a clean finish on this show. It makes sense individually, but if you just have the whole show of it, it really doesn't work. It just felt a little too, overbooked, I guess is the right word. Logically, I can see what they're doing. It's just they should have had them on separate episodes. Or at least, like, you could have 2 on one show, but because all 3 matches had some sort of, like, shenanigans or run-in or whatever, it's sort of like, right, doesn't really fit to all extents. So then we come to Impact. So we start off with Matt Sydal versus Fowler Barr. With it made official that he's got a new spiritual advisor. And there's no more judges and no more rounds. Decent match. But the fact is the title now doesn't need to exist. Because the whole gimmick thing with it is gone. It's just another generic title. Conley and Trevor Lee backstage in Hawaiian shirts, because that's a thing. And Conley is stressed that Trevor doesn't have the title anymore, and Trevor says, look, I'm always thinking 5 steps ahead of everyone else. I'm not just thinking for myself anymore. I'm thinking of you too, Caleb, because we are Trevor. What? They're both the same person. There you go. So then Lashley destroys KM in their match until basically KM sort of sidesteps a spear and so gets smashed into the ring post. So I guess babyface in peril. Unsurprisingly, though, Lashley wins, escapes a pump handle power slam, hits a spear, gets the win. KM looks solid, though. I will say that. You know, at least he's being used. So now they're recapping Chandler Park, who may or may not be Ethan Page, getting destroyed by Congo. And Joseph's now on the phone with his aunt Jenny Park, apologizing on the phone when Kong and Jimmy interrupt. And what happened to Chandler didn't have to happen. But now, Jacobs is saying, I want the monster and Joe to come out and play with my monster. And since I'm a princess, I always get what I want. Right. So now we get a flashback to Bobby Lashley not knowing what to make a choice between in terms of MMA and wrestling. Or no, I think it's he's still wondering he still doesn't know what he wants to do. And he walks past Eddie Edwards and he's like, how you doing, man? And Lashley just ignores him. I guess I don't know, there was some Pluto TV sort of backstage, I don't know, weird flashback thing because, publicizes things. Laurel Van Ness versus Kira Hogan. Thanks to an alley distraction, Kira rolls her up. So yeah, Kira Hogan beat Laurel Van Ness. I partly think now this punishment is for basically her saying she wanted to leave when she was the champion. Also, Laurel's hair is pink. It's brilliant. Apparently, she still hasn't gotten over being jilted by Grado. And also, Grado still hasn't been used, even though supposedly he can fight in both Canada and America. So, who the fuck knows? Then the mystery person that showed up earlier in a car is in the parking lot. So, in theory, he's been walking around the car park for an hour. Is Aries' sense of direction that bad? Do we know? Alberto wants to be known as the Pride of Mexico. But instead, he's, he should be in the main event, but he's stuck tagging with EC3. And EC3, like, the main event goes through me because I'm a Carter and the world needs me. You should follow my lead. And Alberto goes, don't screw it up. And who knows? And here comes LAX saying, oh, we got our titles back. We beat those hoes, the ovaries. What a stupid line. And Sammy got halfway through a sex change operation before telling the doctor to just leave it like that. What the fuck? Who's writing this shit?
I have no way of knowing that.
They're always on DEFCON 5. And then OVE comes out and says, we hate all of you because we hate everything. But it'd be lying if you didn't respect them. For doing a shit line like sex changes? No. If we don't put an end to this one, somebody will end 6 feet under, so we're burying it. But some point down the line, we're coming back for the titles and we're taking everything. Everything. Forever! And Conan just goes, yeah, you'll get nothing and you'll like it. And then Trevor Lee and Caleb Connolly beat the shit out of LAX with a pipe and a kendo stick. And apparently it takes Conan about 5 years to get to the ring because he's like, he doesn't even try and make the save until basically the others are dead. So who knows? Then Mackenzie's with Moose and Johnny Impact. That's happening. So then they recap Drew Galloway versus EC3 from the Global Wrestling Network. Because, current material. Then Eli Drake, who asks Chris Adonis who the special guest is tonight, and Adonis goes, there ain't any special guest. But was happy to help Johnny Impact avoid falling to his death off the side of the cage. Of course, allowing good old Drake to win. EC3 Alberto versus Moose and Impact was pretty solid, as you'd expect, considering it's those four. Moose winning with a clothesline, though, interestingly, on Alberto, as he went for the tree of Joey Lawrence and everything. As Owen coins it. So now it's time for the facts of Eli Drake's life. And Chris Adonis puts over Eli for being the best wrestler, the best dresser, best friend in the world, and showing all these clips. And Eli goes, I'm the greatest man that ever lived. And this girl's like, oh, fuck. I wonder what we're trying to hint at. Here comes Aries, saying he's been traveling the world collecting championships. And if he wants to call himself the greatest man that ever lived, he'll take him on any time and anywhere. And then Drake goes, nah, and heads off. Aries goes, well, clearly you don't have any balls. And then Adonis beats the shit out of him and beats him down with a belt. And Drake goes, you know what? I accept this challenge. Ref, get out here. So Drake goes to recover, but Aries kicks out pretty easily, and Drake's angry at the ref. And then Adonis gets knocked off the apron, hits the IED, hits the brainbuster. Austin Aries is the champion. So yeah, the guy that couldn't even get an important title in WWE then comes back to Impact, beats the guy that's had the title for what, nearly a year?
Yeah.
In less than a minute. I can get why they're booking it, but I also question it. Because it partly feels like desperation. In all honesty. Solid, but desperation solid. I would say. Overall. Music 10. There we go. Sticking with Mr. Aries, we'll jump in quickly to Deafing of Irons. So apparently they're hyping up Lights Out and No Regrets coming up, I think in February and March. No Regrets is going to have a 30-man rumble, apparently. So they recap what happened last week. And here comes Kirby saying, it was his loss that allowed IPW to take over. And it's why he isn't having a match here. And he doesn't care about the stupid little promotional war. He only wants a Defiant title, and he wants a shot against Aries right now. And, of course, Billy Woods, Damian Dunn, and Robert Sharp come out. And Kirby goes, no, you got the night off. And Martin's like, no, I'm not leaving. So Rob Sharp goes in to attack Kirby, but Kirby avoids it. So Dunn smacks Rob with his, what do you call it? What's the thing that bloody Jimmy Hart had? Megaphone? Yeah, the megaphone. Hit him with a megaphone. So yeah, these guys that are in charge look like fucking dorks. Way to make this look really fucking professional, guys. So then, because WWE steals ideas from Defiant Never, it's Vader Scott and Little Miss Roxy versus Kaylee Ray in a 2-on-1 handicap match for the title. Even though it's they literally booked it as a handicap match, even though it's basically a triple threat. But it isn't. Because, of course, Kaylee Ray pinned both women at the same time. Who the fuck knows? You know, it's a solid match, but why did it need to be? Couldn't it have just actually been a triple threat rather than a 2-on-1 handicap? For fuck's sake. So then we got Zach Gibson. Oh, get to Zach. He's turned down a match with Rampage Brown, saying that, you know, he's a thinking man's wrestler. You know, there's no money in the Rampage fight. Nobody wants to see that. Instead, he wants a trios bout, Rampage versus Gibson, with a pair of their trainees on each side, with Rampage getting his singles match if he wins, and Gibson getting a 3-on-1 match with Rampage if he wins. So now it's the Hunter Brothers versus the South Coast Connection of Kelly Six and Ashley Dunn. The Hunters beat South Coast Connection a few episodes back. So it's the rematch sort of stuff. But the great thing is, clearly it didn't happen. They actually played up the fact that the Hunter Brothers do look alike, which they actually do. They went for a spike belly to back pile driver on Lee, but Jim was actually the active guy. Six tried to get a small package on Jim, but Jim reversed it, and the Hunters get the win. It was weird. It was a weird finish, but it sort of made sense because of the whole, you know, they're actually sort of brothers. They do look alike. The best thing to note, though, throughout this show, and to be honest, most of the shows that we've seen so far, the crowd didn't give a fuck. Because they probably have no clue who half of these people are. Because they're not anybody that they've seen on the old WCPW shows. They'd have only seen, one Defiant show? If they actually watch the pay-per-view? So how are they supposed to know who it is? See the problem here, Owen?
Yeah, they probably should pay attention to who they have on their shows.
You also know what the problem is for next week? Hardcore title match, Primate versus Jimmy Havoc. Where have we heard that before? And then they have to defend the tag titles against Chris Ridgway and Mark Haskins. So Gabriel Kidd, you know, is asked if he's distracted by what's going on with Pastor William Eva and everybody, and Kidd's apparently suddenly able to put everything out of his mind and going for the big one. Whatever. So now it's Aussie Open versus BT Gunn and Joe Coffey. Once again, because of IPW random people bloody getting involved and everything. Because apparently Aussie Open are being representing IPW for some reason, considering they're in every promotion in the UK that books them, not just IPW. They're in Progress. They're in Fight Club Pro. I'm pretty sure they've been in Southside. I'm pretty sure they've been in Preston City. It was solid. The former Prestige, whatever you want to call it, of Gun and Coffee winning with the black coffee. But it was really breakneck pace that you couldn't really get in. Which for a show that's an hour, you don't want it to be too breakneck pace. You see what I mean, Owen?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You don't want to be sort of too rushed off your feet by so much happening if you've only got basically an hour and change left. Because this when pretty much they transitioned straight into the, not obviously live, I think it was like, a 30-second thing but whatever. But then we got Kid versus Aries. The thing is, this was a pretty good match, even though most of it was basically Kid getting beaten the shit out of. And the great thing is, the crowd didn't give a shit. The interesting thing, though, happened at the end, because Aries was going to give Kid a brainbuster after he'd won with the last chancery submission, but then put him down, shook his hand, and then shoved him away and walked out. So, yeah. There's respect, but I guess begrudging respect or something? I don't know. So next week, they're advertising the trios match with Gibson and Rampage. Gabriel Kidd somehow teaming with Prince Amin to take on Pastor William Eva and Liam Slater. Even though apparently we've seen that Amin isn't even on Kidd's side. So who the shit knows? Also, keep in mind, the pastor's injured and is out for months. So this angle is going to get fucking buried now, isn't it? And then Primate and Havoc with the hardcore titles and then the tag titles. So 4 matches. But, oh my God, the crowd don't give a shit. Most of the people watching don't give a shit. This invasion angle was pushed way too bloody soon. Hell, what? It basically, the promotion's hit the reset button, hasn't it, Owen? Because of the rename and everything.
I'd say so. I think
you've established within the first one show that this new brand is getting taken over by, for what most people are watching if they aren't into the British scene, especially internationally, because obviously this is broadcast for free on YouTube, a promotion that they don't know anything about anyway. So it's like, which one am I supposed to give a shit about? Because, I know, let's look through the names. Aries, well, he's new because he's only come in since the last tapings. Pastor William Eva, new. Slater's there, but, he's been worked about so much. Kid and Amina there. That's probably about it. Jimmy Havoc's relatively new. Primate's gimmick has completely changed. Ridgway and Haskins are new to sort of most of the casual fans that might be watching. Gun and Coffee, and I guess to some extent Aussie Open because of that good match they actually did have. The Hunter brothers are new, because I don't think they were used, if at all, in the old stuff. South Coast Connection, I think the same as well. They might have had one match thinking about it. And Vader Scott, Little Miss Roxy, and Kaylee Ray. But if you take that out of it, B. Priestley as well, they're the new ones. But the one they're clearly pushing is Millie McKenzie, which I understand because she's, an up-and-coming potential good wrestler. But then at the same time, I'm going, well, nobody knows about her. You've had her in, 2 or 3 matches so far? And you're trying to basically make her like the female version of Brock Lesnar because all she does is suplexes. Which it isn't. That isn't all she does. The other thing is she's 20. So now I'm getting vibes of, especially considering she does a lot of Fight Club Pro and Attack Pro stuff, she's now sort of transitioning as well into Progress and other stuff. I'm fearing that Defiant is trying to make her the new Nixon Newell, which she doesn't need to be. So, yeah, we'll see. It's not looking good. The weird thing is, the promotion that I was absolutely fucking against, I now see more positives in than Defiant Wrestling. I didn't think I'd say that after what I was saying to you on Thursday. Because I might as well transition into that because it is technically weekly television. So the opening 5-star wrestling show from Liverpool. Let's start with the positives. The British wrestling they had on the show, very solid. They had Jack Jester beat Primate. Mark Haskins won the Tap or Snap Championship in the 5-way elimination, taking out beating, because I don't know who got eliminated in total, Joey Axel, Flash Morgan Webster, BT Gunn, and Nathan Cruz. Rampage Brown beat Moose. So I guess, you got British stuff getting a win there. Adam Flex Maxted from bloody Love Island and Charlie Sterling beat Carlito and Chris Masters in the tag team title tournament semi-final. And we also had, in what was the best match of the night, El Ligero and Jody Fleisch beating Dave Mastiff and Big Grizzly in the other semi-final. The other issue, the negative from the actual matches, even though there were good performances, was the American talent. We had PJ Black beating Tim Wiley. Okay, he's South African, but deal with it. I'm saying, WWE name. I obviously mentioned Moose with his Impact stuff. Jake Hager beat Eddie Ryan. Mysterio beat Zach Gibson by DQ, which was an interesting factor. And then the main event was John Morrison defending the title against Rob Van Dam. This is a British wrestling show, everybody. Showcasing the best of British wrestling. And there's an over-reliance on quite a few American talents. Even, as I say, Carlito and Chris Masters in the one of the tag things. The big problem, the other good thing, I guess I should say as well, the camera work. You can tell these guys know what the shit they're doing. Because, there was 3 cameras being manned at ringside, another one at backstage. They did a lot of good shots. And they didn't cut away from them stupidly like you get on WWE or Impact. It was solid. Apparently with the tap or snap stuff, Joey Axel actually eliminated everybody. BT Gunn, Flash Morgan, and Nathan Cruz, but then Haskins actually beat Axel, so sort of stole the win. So again, something pretty good, especially because it had the whole gimmick of only submissions. However, then we come to most of the negatives as well. We'll get to the really big positive, and I've sort of hinted at it already. The negatives. The fans apparently didn't give a shit. Because, of course, this is a live show, so it was like, they were literally, like going to commercial breaks and then sort of sitting there with nothing happening for 5 minutes because they muted out the audio on the feeds that I've got. I'll get to that in a minute as well. Also, the other issue, everybody entered the ring or entered the arena that were British to exactly the same piece of music. Yet, all the American talents came out to their own unique theme. As if we're shitting on them some more. You know, these British talents that are being showcased because it's the best of British wrestling. And then, the other big issue, I would say, was the health and safety. Did I sent you the link to this? Owen, did you manage to catch any of it?
No.
Can you click on the link while we're going here and perhaps like skip into the Twitch video like 40 minutes in just to see how bad these ropes are? Because I need you to see for yourself, because it's sort of, I think the technical term is fucking terrible.
Fair point.
I've seen elastic bands with more tautness than these fucking ropes. From slingshots. It was that terrible. Even in the apparently it took them 2 commercial breaks to actually tighten the fucking ropes. And even then, when we got to the main event, Morrison was like pulling him back 4 foot sort of thing and like going, this is going to be fun. Which meant half the spots I think they were trying to do, they couldn't do. Because it was like, the ropes aren't safe enough. Also, the ring mats around at ringside, rather than sort of being placed together so it sort of fit, there was like gaps. It was like they just chucked him down willy-nilly. The other thing to note about presentation, the ringside barriers, you know, to protect everybody, were the wrong way round. So the dangerous sharp bits were actually on the side of the wrestlers. So if you're going to do a bit where you're going to do some smash into the railings, which is sort of relatively accustomed now, at least in this time, people were going to get fucking hurt. Then we get to the lighting. The lighting was fucking terrible because it made the venue look fucking empty. On top of that, the venue was relatively fucking empty. They're booking these venues which are at maximum 10 or 11,000 arena. From what I can tell from the presentation and the layout of how they had it, they were going for what I think they term as like the second string layout for the Echo. So they use sort of like half the arena, if you will. Except there was a lot of tarping off of stuff. And there weren't that many people, at least on the hard. That was the great thing. You were supposed to see the hard camera side. If there was people there, which there sort of were, because they didn't light them up properly, it looked empty. Because they've done the lighting as if it's like either a bloody convention where obviously they don't have the lights on in the roof, or like an indie show where all they've got is the lights of the building. They didn't hook the lights up and have them organized to actually make it look like there was a lot of people watching. Also, because it made sense, random drunk Bram pissing off the commentators during one of the segments. I have no fucking clue. Also, bloody kids trying to get just on television, putting off Joe Hendry and whoever the fucking commentator was. Greg Lambert. Greg Lambert was average. He sort of did some sort of enthusiastic sort of stuff when he needed to, but he felt rubbish. Joe Hendry was really, really good. For a show that doesn't need him on commentary, it needs him fucking wrestling. He was really doing the sort of the commentator spiel really well. I will admit that. Then the other important bit to mention is Zach Gibson, because, you know, he caused the DQ on Mysterio and everything. Because the whole idea is he did a very good promo on the mic and also on the commentary for people watching, criticizing 5-Star for giving preferential treatment to the Americans. And then even after the Morrison RVD match, he attacked both men and said there will be repercussions. And it was like, yes, this is a guy that should have been pushed in quite a few places. He's starting to now, by the rest of the British scene is starting to actually pick up. I don't think it's because of 5-Star, because he's been picking it up in the last few months anyway. Most notably, ironically, Defiant. Also, in a sort of, I don't know why this is good. Kid Fight, Luking, Sharp, and Krieger were angry that they were booked not for the show. So they were randomly ramming at a door backstage, like throwing themselves into the door as if it had just slam open. But of course, it wouldn't. So then some bloke in a scarf opens the door, and they're sort of asking him, like, it was all sort of like murmured Scottish stuff, so you couldn't make it out. And apparently they're getting some sort of trios tag match next week in Newcastle. The thing is, from what I've heard from the people inside the know, the guy with the scarf is just some sound guy. So I don't know what the whole gimmick was with that, in all honesty. You know, the work that was put in by the wrestlers was good, but it was overshadowed by the fact that the production values on the show were so bad. And I know they can come up with the excuse of, oh, well, we're a video game company. We've never done a show before. Get some fucking experience before you jump into the deep end. The other thing, accessibility. They stated everywhere, you can watch this on Facebook if you can't get the channel. I went to Facebook. They had no fucking links as to where you could get it. Only going through where I normally watch my wrestling of illegal bases did I find out it was being streamed on a Sheffield newspaper's website, which didn't do any publicity in my area because my area isn't fed by one of the papers that apparently is in this group that's showing this stuff. Thankfully, the Hendry man is the savior because he's live streaming it on Twitch. Again, with very little publicity, apart from people that follow Hendry's Twitter, which wasn't appearing in my feed at the time. So in all honesty, everybody, don't watch it on television. Watch it on Hendry's Twitch feed. Because he gets the money if you subscribe to him.
not 5-star wrestling, unless they somehow take a cut. Because I don't think this promotion needs any more money than it has at the moment, because it can't do bugger all in terms of production. Okay, they might get better and everything over the next few weeks, but it plays into the fact of the contract that they did have, Free Sports, with Preston City Wrestling, was going to be weekly live shows from Preston's base, which is a place that only holds like a few hundred people. Which, if anything, if you look at most of British wrestling today, ICW's biggest shows happen at the Garage, which is basically a nightclub. Fight Club Pros at Starworks, which is a nightclub. Preston City Wrestling shows are at the Evoke nightclub in Preston. Even the Electric Ballroom in Camden is basically a sort of club. And Rev Pro's biggest shows are York Hall. Okay, that's a boxing venue, but it's only a small couple of thousand things. All the major shows from 5-star, apart from a couple which are at ice hockey rinks, are happening in arenas that could hold up to 8, 9, 10,000 people. And what really doesn't help is they're charging £30 for this. 30 quid to see 3 hours of wrestling. I'll mention this here, but I'll get to it in a minute. They're doing a 2-show tournament over Saturday in PCW. You know how much it is for both shows, Owen? 20 quid. For 2 shows. I think that's kid price. I think adults is 25. The 30 quid is adults or kids. No, apparently there aren't any concessions. Which would you prefer to go to, Owen? In terms of price value? Just putting it out there. Oh. I won't be able to fully see the show from Newcastle. I will have to catch it up on archive. But I'm intrigued because there's good wrestlers on it. It's just I really want to know if this production value gets better and if they have a good bloody ring. And ring, you know, better mats, better ropes. Apparently even the ring was too low. So the apron didn't fit. So it was sort of like draped across, you know, the floor. So it didn't even fit in that sense. The really positive thing, though, Owen, guess what the main event is after, you know, your man said, we want British wrestling. The 5-star title's on the line with John Morrison defending against bloody Jack Swagger. And Mark Haskins defends the submission title against Rey Mysterio. Brilliant. British wrestling. Americans. Yay. And we got Max Ed and Sterling versus El Ligero and Jody Fleisch for the tag titles. I'm guessing it'll be Max Ed and Sterling, which means I don't give a fuck about it anymore because the other guys from reality shows, and we know what happens with them. Fucking bloody, what was his name from Impact? I can't think of. Robbie, whatever it was. Jesse Goddard. Yeah, that one. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let's hope it's better. Let's hope they actually do learn from their mistakes. Anyway. The other stuff that went down, Southside Wrestling's Raw Deal 7. SoCal Vow introduces Gail Kim and gives her a video package of her history and time in the ring. Stevie Xavier, sorry, defended the speaking title against Shax. Afterwards, Stevie continued to attack Shax until Roy Knight made the save. Then Robbie X and Big Grizzly attacked Knight. Dan Maloney made his return and looked like he was going to save Knight, but then attacked him, and he's now the new member of GBH because that's a thing. And then Dan Maloney beat Roy Knight in a match. Robbie X beat Jimmy Jacobs, and Big Grizzly beat James Storm. With Maloney and Robbie X interfering throughout the match and triple teaming Storm with Grizzly afterwards until Roy Knight and Ricky Knight Jr. made the save. And then Rosemary showed up on screen, and Decay challenged GBH to a Monsters Ball match in May. So what does it mean by Decay? Are Roy and Ricky Knight part of Decay then? Because Logic... I don't even know what Decay stands for. We'll see. Ricky Knight Jr. qualified for the Speed King 2018 tournament, beating Sean Custom, Gabriel Kidd, Danny Jones, and Andrew Everett. Then in the three-way, the 198 of Wild Boar and Flash Morgan Webster beat Joseph Connors and El Ligero and the Hunter Brothers. MVP beat Bad Bones. And in Gail Kim's retirement match, the traditional thing happened, Owen.
What was that name?
Gail Kim beat Casey. Because Gail Kim can never fucking lose. For fuck's sake. Apparently you don't go out on your back. You go out winning. Way to push the new talent, Gail. You buried them in Impact. You're burying them even on the Indies now. Because didn't she lose to Ali in that bloody Can USA Classic thing that Smash did? I'm pretty sure she did. Yeah. I don't think Gail has ever lost a match since she announced that she was retiring. Brilliant. If Gail Kim goes in the Hall of Fame, I want to rescind my vote. Please. Rev Pros live at the Cockpit show from Sunday. Curtis Chapman retained the Cruiserweight title in a three-way over Chris Brooks and Flash Morgan Webster. Adam Brooks beat El Fantasmo. Josh Bodom over Dan McGee. David Starr defeated Mike Bailey. Sami Jane beat Nina Samuels. Aussie Open beat the Legion of Lords. And Zack Sabre Jr. beat Travis Banks. So a good one there. I'm just trying to see if the Progress Wrestling results have been updated, because that happened like a few hours ago. And they weren't up when I looked a few hours ago. So I'm seeing if we've had an overnight sort of update. OTT from Ireland, their homecoming shows. First off, the Dublin show. We had Trent Seven beat LJ Cleary. Mark Haskins over Adam Brooks via submission. Martina the Session Moth retained her gender-neutral four-way, or gender-neutral title in a four-way against Chuck Taylor, Angrel Cruz, and Be Cool. Zack Sabre Jr. beat Travis Banks, another submission there. Keith Lee beat Mike Bailey. Jordan Devlin retained the No Limits title over Timothy Thatcher. And then the Rapture of Zach Gibson and Charlie Sterling beat the Kings of the North of Damian Corvin and Bonesaw to win the OTT tag titles. I approve. Also, I'm still trying to find live at the Dome results. I can find them. That's 24 hours. I'll have a look at that in a minute. Oh, there it is. Oh, they are up. It's just they haven't been updated. Right, I'll get to them in a minute then. Actually, no, they actually would be next, because in terms of the British wrestling. So I'll quickly go through that. So this happened within today. Live at the Dome 4 at Tufnell Park. The one thing they did announce, which I think is a very nice move, Dahlia Black will be full-time commentating for Progress on the Dome shows. So yes, everybody, WWE didn't do a female commentator of any knowledge first. it was progress because Beth seems completely out of her depth on Mixed Match Challenge. And the least said about historic Stephanie, the fucking better. So, live at the Dome saw Chuck Mambo beat Adam Brooks, Danny Duggan over Sid Scala, who made his debut, I think, at least in terms of the Dome. In a four-way corner match, Eminem of Connor Mills and Maverick Mayhew beat the Craft Beating Company of Ashmore and Matt Walters. Lord Gideon Gray and Curtis Chapman, and Never Say Die of Dylan D'Angelo and Alex Cupid. Spike Trivet beat Adam Ralph, and then I believe put his shot up for grabs against whoever was willing to challenge him, which was Big T. Spike Trivet beat him anyway, so he stays in. Jack Sexsmith beat Joey Axel. And then Mark Davis beat Kyle Fletcher to progress into the Natural Progression Series next round, or whatever you want to call it. Progress, I think, are back in a couple of weeks for their next show. Oh no, February 11th. Does that mean I have it noted down? Of course I don't. I didn't plan that far ahead. Because I'm a fucking idiot. God damn it. So while I'm getting that, I can run through the rest of the stuff. Jumping to the only stuff I've got from WWN is the FIP show. I know there was the ACW show, but I can't find any results for that very easily. So for the FIP show, Everything Burns 2018 from the Orpheum in Ybor City, Florida. We had Darius Lockhart beat Blanco Loco and Steve El Saba and Snoop Strikes. Rhett Giddings over Alex Hertzhog. Priscilla Kelly successfully defended the Shine title against ACR. John Davis retained the Florida Heritage title over Darby Allin. Effie and Graham Bell's match went to a no contest. Francisco Chiazzo beat Joey Osborne. Austin Theory retained the FIP World Heavyweight title over Martin Stone. And in the main event, the end of Odinson and Paro beat the Hooligans of Devon and Mason Cutter to win the tag titles. So I think they were tag champs before, or at least challenging anyway. So well done to Odinson and Paro. Defy's first year anniversary in Seattle was this past Friday. Shaft beat Dave Turner, Nicole Matthews over Hawley Lane. Artemis won the Fight to Survive elimination match. American Guns lost to the surprise reveal of Penta and Phoenix. Brody King beat ACH, Joey Janela over Randy Myers. And Shane Strickland beat Matt Seidel to retain the Defy Wrestling title. Then we come to Alpha One up in Canada. This was a pretty stacked card in Oshawa and the Polish Hall. So it started with the Zero Gravity title four-way elimination, which Shane Saber won over Alex Daniels, Brett Michael David, and Mark Wheeler. Then Beautiful B beat Felicity, retain her Alpha Female title. The Southside Wrestling title was up for grabs, successfully retained by Ethan Page. Ricky Shane Page retained his Alpha Male title over Steve Brown. And then the Western Med Connection of Jim Nye and Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham beat the Meme Team of Eric Carney and Jesse Bieber to retain their belts as well. So 5 title matches, and then we had the 60-minute Iron Man match, which Josh Alexander won by 3 falls to 2. So pretty fucking stacked, I guess you could say. Really stacked. House of Glory, the Beware the Fury show from the NYC Arena. The Dark Freeway match that opened it up. Hollywood's top models of Romero, Romano, and Sasha Jenkins beat the House of Gangon of Thomas Odin and Ezekiel Lewis, and the Golden Lions of Midas Black and Jay Lyon. Matt Travis beat Ken Broadway and Leroy Green, a triple threat. The MTV TRL title was up for grabs, which the Caveman retained over El Hombre Besteria. The Masons won their 2-on-1 handicap match against Smooth Blackmon. The House of Gangon of Anthony Gangon, Juba, and Smiley beat Larger Than Butter of TJ Marconi, Mantequilla, and Brian Burgundy. Evander James retained the Crown Jewel title over Homicide. Sonya Strong beat Eva Lise. LAX beat the Private Party, who were the mystery opponents of Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. LAX retain the belts, tag belts, that is. And Amazing Red managed to beat Low Key to stay as House of Glory heavyweight champion. And then we transition to AAW, their Chaos Theory show, also on Saturday in LaSalle, Illinois. We have Myron Reed beat Trey Miguel. 004K of the Chris Brothers beat Zero Gravity of Brett Kakayo and CJ Esparza. Trevor Lee over Shane Strickland. So basically Lucha Underground. Ace Romero won the six-man mayhem over Dante Leon, Donovan Danhausen, Gringo Loco, Sage Kanan, and Space Monkey. Jeff Cobb beat AR Fox. I was going to say, that's where I got confused. I thought it was AR Fox and Shane Strickland. My bad. Lee winning, whatever. Sammy Callahan beat Matt Riddle. Brew Baker, Connor Braxton, Kurt Stallion, and Jake Something won the 8-man tag over Cody Rice, Mike Hartenbauer, Matt Fitchett, and Paco. Penta was victorious over Eddie Kingston. Jessica Havoc beat Rosemary in a match that, if I get the note that was off Dave Meltzer's daily report, they were about 3 minutes into the match when Rosemary got injured and went right into the finish. Rosemary kicked Havoc, got hurt, and rolled out the ring because she the idea immediately, sort of soon after, she took a tombstone pole driver and the match ended. And Havoc broke character and helped her onto the back because she couldn't put any weight on her right leg. Rosemary did put out a tweet saying that, let me just find the tweet. We've been quiet on the subject, but know that we appreciate all the energy the Hive has been putting forth towards our welfare. These mortal meat suits are regrettably fragile through nobody's fault but unlucky chance. When we have more answers, we will share them. So, considering it's a leg injury and she couldn't walk, I'm wondering whether she did a quad. Does that sound right, Owen? Owen, can I have some medical help here, Owen, please?
I'm here, barely.
Is it? Considering Rosemary couldn't walk and had to be carried to the back or helped to the back by Havoc, do you think she tore a quad?
I think that it's a good possibility, and I honestly think that she has had the worst year for injuries when it comes to the Impact roster by far this year.
It doesn't help what was fucking done to her at Triple Mania.
Right.
That certainly wasn't her fault. The other ones are just accidents that happen. That was sort of malicious intent. That was not cool. Not cool. But yeah, she says as she'll provide more information when she has it. So I guess it's just it's how severe whatever the injury is.
Right.
Sadly, nobody remembers that because ACH beat Ray Phoenix to win the AAW heavyweight title finally. But yeah, and the fact obviously that Havoc's supposed to be this badass that's the heel and everything, but even she helped Rosemary to the back. Yeah, I feel sorry. Because if that's the case, what happens to the whole Decay thing at Southside? If anything,
Depends how serious it is, I say. We'll have to see. So, this coming weekend, as I previously mentioned, Preston City Wrestling, the 2 shows. Standing room only, by the looks of it. But it's £25. So I guess if you don't, I'm guessing you can probably sit down somewhere rather than just stand for like 6 hours or something. So show 1 in the afternoon features, because they're actually doing a tag tournament and a singles tournament over it. So show 1 will have the quarterfinals of both. So in the tag competition, we've got Interracial Love of Charlie Sterling and Ashton Smith. Yes, that is the name. Taking on the Kings of Leon. Yes, that's also their name, of Shah Samuels and Lionheart. The Henchmen of Jim Diehard and Benton Destruction take on Dunkamania of Sugar Dunkerton and Matthew Brooks. Yeah, he's in the UK rather than doing freelance. There's some people pissed at that. I'm guessing that's going to be some sort of storyline down the line. Tal Banham and Big T take on Joey Hayes and Danny Hope. Tyson T-Bone and a mystery partner take on Polo Promotions of Jackie Polo and Mark Coffey. In the singles tournament, we've got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Matt Riddle, Adam Brooks versus Dean Allmark, Moose taking on Rampage Brown, and Yestin Reese versus Apollo Crews. Keep in mind, if Apollo's doing both shows, that's going to end, Saturday night? He's then got to fly to San Jose for Monday afternoon. How jet-lagged is he going to be for Raw? That's what I'm a little concerned about. The show in the evening will have semi-finals and finals for those tournaments, as well as 2 other matches. But obviously, it's going to come out of what happens with the quarterfinals. So we'll see. However, it's not just 2 big shows from PCW this weekend. ICW has its Square Go, the 7th annual one. The matches that we know for sure, there's a number 1 contenders Force Count Anywhere match with Jack Jester taking on James Storm. Casey defends the ICW Women's title against Session Moth, Martina. Rampage Brown and Ashton Smith, the new tag champs, take on the Purge of Stevie James and Crowbar, defending the belts. BT Gunn puts both the 0G title and the World Heavyweight title up online against Bram. And then we have the Square Go, the 30-man Rumble with 5 random weapons because it's ICW, with 1 winner. And if we're going on previous precedents, that winner challenges whoever the champ is at Barramania, which is end of April time. However, because that shows at the O2 ABC in Glasgow, so a bigger venue, or at least a venue where it normally is. However, that venue is also doing the Fight Club tapings. There's a reason. As it stands, we've got Kid Fight versus Jordan Devlin, Wolfgang versus Brig Grizzly, DCT taking on Joseph Connors, Jodie Fleisch taking on Mikey Whiplash, and Casey, if she's still women's champion, defending the title against Viper as she makes her return from Japan. However, the big thing that's come out this week, ICW Hall of Fame gets its 2nd member, I think, or it gets its newest inductee anyway. Drew McIntyre is going to be going over to be inducted in. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow he got involved, considering, Jack Jester and all his connections to the current title situation and everything. Sticking with the women's wrestling front, though, on Saturday, Pro Wrestling Eve is back with Kick 'em in the Stereotypes at the Resistance Gallery in Bethnal Green. So we know that Sami Zayn, the Eve champion, is going to be in action, along with Caitlin Diamond and more.
We've also got Viper versus Jocelyn. And the main event of Kaylee Ray and Millie McKenzie teaming up to take on Toni Storm and Charlie Morgan. That's going to be a tag match that I'm going to be really interested in. I was going to say 4-way, but it isn't. And then we've also got a 6-woman tag. Jamie Hayter, Charlie Evans, and a mystery partner will face Rhea O'Reilly, Laura DiMatteo, and a mystery partner. So there's interesting combinations what could happen there. So yeah, it was originally supposed to be Viper versus Ginny, apparently, but because Ginny's out injured, it's going to be Jocelyn taking her place. And then Progress, because I've remembered that it's on this week. Chapter 63, Take Me Underground from the O2 Ritz in Manchester. So I'm guessing that's a reference to the Jam. Probably. We got Tyler Bate versus Zack Sabre Jr. Spike Trivet defending his natural progression spot again, I think. Oh, no, sorry, no. It's an actual first round match with Drew Parker taking on Spike Trivet. Toni Storm and Charlie Morgan team up again, this time against Nina Samuels and Shakara. Volta defends the Atlas title against Mark Davis. The grizzled young veterans of Zach Gibson and James Drake put the tag titles up for grabs against Jimmy Havoc and Mark Haskins, who apparently are sworn enemies in Defiant. That's why this makes no fucking sense. And then Travis Banks, TK Cooper, and Chris Brooks. CCK South Pacific Power Trip collides in a 3-way match in the main event, which should be fun. Moving over to the US, starting off with MLW at the Guilt nightclub in Orlando, Florida tomorrow, or I guess today, if you are in Florida, because it's Thursday now. They'll feature the opening round of the MLW title tournament, featuring Jimmy Havoc versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman. So he's going to be jet lagged. Brody King versus Shane Strickland. Matt Riddle taking on Jeff Cobb, and MVP versus Filthy Tom Lawler. And then in non-tournament action, we're going to have Sami Callihan and Darby Allin in a grudge match. Austin Aries versus ACH. Chelsea Green taking on Priscilla Kelly. Simon Gotch and Seth Petrozelli facing Jimmy Utah and Jason Cade. Destino Negro faces Mega Danger in some Lucha Libre action. And Mike Parrow and a mystery partner will face Steve El Saba and Vandal Ortegon. Low-key, Selena De La Renta, Barrington Hughes, and Rhett Giddings are also set to be part of the show as well. But I don't know who they're facing. Freelance Wrestling returns home to the Logan Square Auditorium in Chicago, Illinois. This Friday. It's on Powerbomb.tv, I believe. So on here, we've got a 8-person scramble, I should say. Carlos Gabriel, Kenny Sutra, Robert Anthony, Giassi, Gringo Loco, and Eric Cannon are the 6 we know. The other 2 will be picked from the Rise seminar that Dr. Tom Pritchard is doing in the afternoon, which does tie into Rise Wrestling, but it's a co-ed thing, so males and females will be part of it. Also, we've got Aaron Epic taking on Kobe Durst. The unfortunate pairing of Pat Monix and Elliot Paul, yes, that apparently is the tag team name, take on the M-Words. The 4-star heroes of Matt Nix and Chris Castro defend the freelance tag belts against Viking War Party of Alex Rudolph and Jake Parnell. Gregory Iron one-on-one with Craig Mitchell. Anthony Henry takes on Stevie Fierce. And then it's a fatal 4-way to determine the number 1 contender to Sugar Dunkerton's freelance world title. Space Monkey, Darren Corbin, Isaias Velasquez, and Ethan Page in it. Considering how the angle went in terms of the pipe bomb from Corbin, I think it's probably going to be him that wins. We'll see. CWF Mid-Atlantic has CWF Strong this Saturday.
at the Mid-Atlantic Sport Tournament's usual home in Gibsonville, North Carolina. The big thing to note about this is, at least when I looked at earlier, they only had one match announced, even though it's happening on Saturday. That match being Chet Sterling versus John Schuyler. However, apparently because of them airing the stuff that they do on YouTube, they've just announced that Hurricane Shane Helms will be defending the worldwide TV title against Brad Attitude. The rest of it is still up in the air. Trevor Lee's coming back after the Battlecade attack, apparently all out for the All-Stars. And also William L. Cross, who's the, I guess, de facto owner, booker, or whatever you want to say, the authority figure, is fining them $100 a day until the brand new Mid-Atlantic heavyweight title is returned, because obviously they took it at that last show, and apparently there'll be another sanction on them coming. They are also selling a special CWF Strong shirt on the night with money going to Crossroads, a local confidential counseling center.
Is this because one of the people that used to work at your company was basically doing a sex ring? Is this you making good?
In which case, good, but it's like it's awkward timing, I would argue, but it makes sense. CZW is hailing from the Colossal Sports Academy in Voorhees, New Jersey. They did manage to find a place in Voorhees, New Jersey that would have them, at least for this time. They're relocating to Asbury Park, I believe. I don't know whether that's anywhere near Bam Bam Bigelow's old place.
That is his old hometown.
Yes, but I'm saying the actual venue because I can't remember where it is. Their show and what is going to be their new home in Asbury Park is February 24th. But this anniversary show is happening in Voorhees because obviously they've got a bit more of a connection there, at least over the recent, years, which makes sense considering the big thing. Another Hall of Fame thing. This time it's a CZW one, as you expect, because it's a CW show. This year's inductee is going to be Larry Legend, which is well deserved. So on the show, there's going to be a Combat Zone Rumble. I don't know how many people are in it, but whoever wins it gets a CZW World title shot somewhere down the line. Alexander James, Dan Barry, John Silver, Tyler Murphy, and Alex Reynolds are all going to try and qualify into the Best of the Best 2018 tournament coming in April. We got Joe Gacy versus Anthony Gangon, Joey Janela versus Brandon Kirk, an ultra-violent dog collar match between Greg Excellent and Ace Romero. Lucha Extrema as Ricky Shane Page teams up with Penta and Phoenix to take on Jake and Dave Christ and Sammy Callahan. That'll be fun. And I guess the de facto main event, because obviously the world champs in the Lucha Extrema, Maxwell Jacob Freeman defending the world title against Alex Colon. And then this weekend also sees Ring of Honor. Honor Reign Supreme starting it off on Friday in Concord, North Carolina. The matches that we know so far, Cody, Marty Skull, and Adam Page take on the Kingdom of Matt Taven, TK O'Ryan, and Vinny Marseglia. Jay Lethal, one-on-one with Jonathan Gresham. In the non-title match, Best Friends take on the Young Bucks. I guess they say it's non-title because of the IWGP thing. Or maybe it's because of the six-man titles. I don't know. SoCal Uncensored of Scorpio Sky, Christopher Daniels, and according to their own website, Christopher Daniels, even though that's clearly Kazarian, the heavy metal rebel. Bloody hell. Proofread your shit, Ring of Honor. They're going to be taking on Dalton Castle and the boys. Punishment Martinez one-on-one with Flip Gordon. And Kenny King versus Shane Taylor with Silas Young, the Briscoes Cheeseburger, Kelly Klein, Deonna Purrazzo, and Mandy Leon also set to be appearing.
Of course, you got the usual meet and greet sort of stuff happening beforehand. Saturday, though, they're going to center stage for TV tapings. Except the stage will probably look better than the one that WWE had, because that still just looks weird. So on this one, Silas Young defending the TV title against Kenny King. The Best Friends take on the Briscoes. Adam Page versus Christopher Daniels. The Young Bucks take on SoCal Insensitive Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. The Dogs of Will Ferrero and Rhett Titus face coast to coast of Leon St. Giovanni and Shaheem Ali, which obviously the whole play up will be, can coast to coast follow up from, the big win over War Machine, because I can't remember whether they won on the last set of taping. And there will also be a Women of Honor match, but it don't say who. So we'll see what happens. Da-ba-da-ba-da. I guess. There you go.
My apologies for the chat tonight, not being on top of it.
It's late, everybody.
I'm so tired. I apologize. I have to be up in 6 hours to run. Jeremy said hello. One Triple S was surprised that Roderick defeated Hideo and asked when Pete Dunne's next UK title match is going to be. If you want to do rapid fire, Ashley, please do.
Strong was a surprise, but now you take into account that Triple H is in charge, we might be seeing quite a few of the NXT's guys stepping in to that division. In terms of who Dunne faces next, I'm intrigued. I'm guessing they're going to do something on the next set of tapings in Orlando in March.
Probably.
And I'd say there has to be a title match at Mania, because the amount of international fans that are going to be going to Ring of Honor, WrestleMania weekend, and whether it be all WWE shows or a mix of the other indie shows and everything, it's gonna make sense to sort of highlight some crazy British wrestling shit going down. So yeah, not sure who though, in all honesty.
Hyro, welcome back, says, I don't know if Impact is worth watching with Borash being gone.
Well, he's still there for now. He's doing the commentary. You've got to watch for the next 3 weeks. When they do I guess for the next, whenever the live show is that April? Christ, how much did they tape? They taped a shit ton.
I don't have an official time when they're coming in.
No, but I'm saying how long. I'm trying to remember how long they taped for. That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah. Leading up to the pay-per-view.
One thing I want to mention as well, because it's another thing that I forgot about just now. We did get some news from Musha Show today. He was on the Busted Open radio yesterday, and he's basically been battling a surgical infection following that hip surgery that he got. With basic word coming that if the infection had stayed or had gotten worse, he would have needed a full hip replacement that would probably have ended his whole in-ring career. But things are looking good at the minute. But as long as the infection doesn't come back, it's going to be touch and go. But he hopes to be in or around in about 6 to 8 months. So it's a longer off time than we thought because of that. So we might not be seeing him till, I don't know, in or around Hell in a Cell Survivor Series time at the latest, possibly SummerSlam time-ish, if all possible. So yeah, best wishes to him in the recovery for sure.
All right, well, we already mentioned about Triple H being in charge of 205. UK title should be, one Triple S says to Hyro, I really think the UK title should be with the wrestlers that can work the indies and WWE because it has that kind of prestige. Hyro wants to know why WWE is doing, when are they doing their British television?
That's a good fucking question.
Yep.
Because of the whole WWE thing, because of the ITV World of Sport thing, WWE felt like, I guess, it didn't want to do it because obviously they're in sort of financial cutbacks anyway. Look at how much pyro they've used, none. Look how much money they've had to spend on Ronda, fucking shit ton. So it was, I guess you could say, unnecessary expenditure, especially because Vince is obviously having to get all the money together for bloody XFL2 Electric Boogaloo. I feel they need, if they want to do it right, they need to do an NXT takeover style show again in the UK at some point and show it live on the network. Except sort of emphasize it about just British wrestlers getting the opportunity. Because realistically, if you think about it, Mustache Mountain could go for the tag titles. Because, you know, them against Fish and O'Reilly could be fucking incredible. And that's just as it stands. Who knows who could it be down the line? Tommy End, you know, Alistair Black has done enough on the English scene from the fans that are in the know over here to probably be okay just as champion there. Done with whoever, you know, that they can get. Even with the women, you know, if they can get Tony Storm, but that's because of her Japanese commitments, that'd be awkward. Perhaps, I don't think you'd, well, would you want to do, because I'm guessing it's going to be Shayna. Would you want to do like Shayna versus Viper? Yeah. Trust me, I want to see this British wrestling show as well. Instead, we're getting 5-star wrestling, which, you know, there's some good stuff on it. As I say, if you want to watch it on Twitch, twitch.tv/Joe Hendry on Thursday afternoons at 2 Eastern to 5 Eastern. And it's archived on Joe Hendry's Twitch channel anyway. At least the first one was. Because apparently they don't give a damn about whether people steal it or whatever. At least for now. I'll find this and it'll be like there are no archives. Yeah. I honestly don't know. I want the British show stuff myself because it's like, I mean, technically you've already got it. It's just you have to pay a few dollars a month. It's called Demand Progress because they do what, 2-3 shows a month at least. I mean, I'm just looking. I think they've got at least 2 or 3 set up in March, not even including the Dome show. They've got those Australian shows that they're doing after Mania. They're doing 2 shows on Mania weekend as it is. They've got the Strong Style 3-day tournament in May. And then a show 2 weeks after that anyway. And that might not even include the Dome show as well. So that's at least 5 shows, of which the 3-day tournament's always a big one. And they're doing Wembley Arena September 30th. And they're even, you know, doing night 3 of the Dream Tag Team Invitational at the NEC event as part of the Insomnia Gaming Festival. That's what you should be watching. Because most of the people are WWE bound anyway, or the best guys that you should be seeing on the British scene right now. Because Zach Gibson's in there. You know, Millie McKenzie's in there now. Tony Storm's already been part of the, you know, the Mae Young Classic, so she's sort of a recognizable name to those of you that watch the network. You know, Aussie Open. There's a lot of names on there that deserve a lot of attention. So yeah, just watch Progress. Just act that as your WWE TV show.
That's what we call rapid fire, everyone.
Well, I wanted to go into the problem is I wanted to go into details because it's complicated. That's the issue there. I apologize for being long-winded.
It's okay. It's just too late.
Yeah, for sure.
Hyro has 3 more questions here. Did you hear about Shelton finding a gun in his car?
Oh God! budget rent-a-car, wanting to hate black people. Jesus Christ.
I thought Walter had the Atlas belt for Progress.
Yes. Oh, the match he had with Timothy Thatcher. Holy shit. I'm going to send a link over that for Owen to watch over the weekend if he's somehow got half an hour in time to watch it. Because, man, that's a good match. And you know, and that's just one match. That show was said to be pretty solid as well. So,
all right. And the last question I have here, Hyro asks, any ideas on Lashley being brought into WWE? That sounds like he's working with Brock after Mania.
which should make sense because of the backgrounds. In all honesty, whether Brock is champion or not. I think that fits.
All right. And that's the show.
Indeed.
So I am going to head off to bed. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Raw will be back here on Monday night. If something happens, I'll let you guys know. Popcast coming in the near future. Awards podcast coming. So stay tuned for those in the very near future. Because we've got even award ceremonies coming up the next couple weeks.
We've still got to do something relating to the Oscars.
Yeah,
if we are still reacting to it.
We are. It's just been a minute. Sorry about that, everyone.
Are we just going to sort of do it as a super podcast combined with the BAFTA noms?
No.
Okay.
But we'll get to it.
Yeah.
So
hopefully sometime next week if there's enough time, because obviously it fits to do it before we get to the BAFTA nominations. In sense, but no, we don't have to. Depends, obviously, what Owen's got on the plate.
Yeah, so that's what the show is. Asher, where you find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at Ash is my name UK.
Follow me on Twitter at Sir Disney. Follow the network at Popcast Network. Check out our Facebook fan page at Popcast Network. And that's going to be your show. Ashley content also coming later this weekend. And Gaming with Ash returning very soon. Ashley's new Sip and Snack will be returning as well. My Sip and Snack will be coming probably at you guys tomorrow. I guess we'll have to wait and see. There'll be a Sip and Snack tomorrow. I just can't exactly say which one yet or today. AJ content coming this weekend as well. So that's going to be your show. Once again, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. Thanks, everyone in the live chat room. Like I said, my apologies for not jumping on that right away. Like I said, I was just extremely wiped from working today, so I was completely out of it. So my apologies for that. Hopefully, it'll be better on Monday. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
Woo! Go to sleep. Go to bed.